Ring the bell. My name is Joey. I'm your daddy bod demigod. And joining me as always is...
the interdimensional Shirai, Moxie Molly.
A lot happened last night. A lot of different emotions were swirled. I'm not sure how to deal with some of the stuff that happened last night. So I think the best thing to do is just jump on in. NXT kicked off this week. We had a one-on-one match. It was Shotzi Blackheart going one-on-one with Indi Hartwell in an okay match. Indi looked really nervous to me.
Well, wouldn't you be really nervous if you were wrestling Shotzi and how she throws her body at you?
Yeah, I'd be nervous to face Shotzi, but it was the first time I really noticed that kind of green to the camera kind of feel on NXT in a while. It's been sort of just like boom, 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 Monday Night Raw feel. And finally I was like, oh yeah, this is developmental. Like, she's doing fine.
I like Indi. I'm glad we're finally seeing a little bit more of her. Many of the characters on NXT, she needs to be defined a little bit more. But I think with time, we'll get there. We just don't see her. We see her once every 4 months.
That's kind of it. She's got very, I guess, that kind of Deonna Purrazzo vibe where it's just kind of, I'm going to walk out, I'm going to look like a badass, I'm going to strut my stuff, but there's really nothing else there for us to sink our teeth into.
Let's coin this the Purrazzo syndrome. We're not downing her. We're just saying that is what she was dealt because she's kind of killing it on Impact right now. Anyway, back to what we actually review. Correct me if I'm wrong, Indi Hartwell won her first ever match on the NXT roster.
I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain and figure out if I've seen Indi win a match yet. I don't think so. This match really wasn't about Indi Hartwell at all. From the minute that they walked out to the ring, commentary didn't stop saying Robert Stone.
Because they didn't pay her attention, I wanted to give her a little hey girl, you won. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely deserves the credit because she did put on a stellar match despite looking a little bit nervous heading out into the ring. The match itself was very technical, very fun. Shotzi's cannonballs scare me every single time she does them.
I feel like she's gonna land on her neck and hurt herself.
I keep thinking it, and I'm just like, no, because being as much of a Lita stan as I am, I know how bad neck injuries can affect a career, so it worries me every single time. The ending to this match saw Robert Stone come out limping with his little gimp leg, and then Aaliyah just chucking Shotzi off of the top rope, allowing Indi to get the win. Where do you think the storyline might be going?
Maybe they're going to try to get Indi Hartwell in the Robert Stone brand, which I don't know, considering she isn't seen much. I don't know if that's going to be much of a acquisition, so to speak, but I like how you kind of explained it as they're putting Robert Stone at the forefront, because we said this last week too, it's not often you see managers really get attention, and he's just so good. Think of who is a great manager you can think of? Dang
it, the first thing that popped in my head was Vickie Guerrero, but I love Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Okay, so he is the Heenan of 2020. Yeah. He's that great, is what I'm saying. That's why he's getting so much attention. It's almost less about his talent and his acquisitions and more about him, which some might say that's not what a wrestling manager is all about, but he makes the talent. That's the whole point.
He does, and it's just his character, which is just off the wall. But after last week, I'm starting to draw comparisons between Robert Stone and Britt Baker.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with it. They're actually giving it a gimmick. They're giving us over-the-top gimmick. I love how all week Robert Stone has been I got run over by a tank. I got run over by a tank. He has cartoon artwork of himself getting run over by a tank. It's great. He's really driving it home.
Literally driving it home. It's a tank. I also liked your idea of Indi jumping in with Stone and Aaliyah as part of the Robert Stone brand, maybe a bit more of the muscle.
Because Aaliyah's so tiny.
Maybe. I mean, hopefully it'll lead to something more, but for the sake of time, let's go ahead and jump on to something else. The next match was the main event. It was Tegan Nox cashing in her title opportunity against Io Shirai in, no lie, a really, really good match. And I don't know why I didn't expect it to be a good match. I expected it to be very technical, which it was, but I didn't expect to pop as much as I did.
I like seeing Tegan work. She's just not giving me a connection yet. Like, I want so badly to connect with her. And
I really do.
She doesn't exude anything that I can, like, it's just like, cool, you're a really good wrestler. Like, that's how I feel.
I mean, that's kind of her thing, which if that's going to be her thing, they just need to make it her thing, because the thing that I took away from this match, the biggest one was, one, not everything needs to be this super show-stopping, match every single week. Like, it doesn't have to be a pay-per-view quality match. This one could have been on a pay-per-view, but it's not a show-stopping Asuka versus Ember Moon type match. It's a standard wrestling match. It was very slow-paced. The first half of it was completely just mat-based wrestling and hold reversals, which was great. The thing with it is Tegan Nox could be such a great character if they made her kind of like the technician or, something like that.
The virtuosa.
The virtuosa. That's kind of where she's headed towards, to be honest. But they keep comparing her consistently. Like, every time she's in the ring, you hear the words Molly Holly and Kane more than you do Tegan Nox. And she's really good. They need to give her something. Going
along with you with saying it's not the showstopper match or whatever, we've said this, I think, since the time we've started this review. Not everything has to be pay-per-view. You don't want it to be, because then you get kind of spoiled to when a match is amazing on a pay-per-view. You want them to hold back a little bit. They don't have to give us every single trick every single time. I really like how you said, give Tegan something that's her own. Stop comparing her. And I also feel way back when she separated from Dakota Kai, we also brought up she was Team Kick. She got this injury, just like Dakota Kai, blah, blah, blah. So, like, they always kind of, like, have her as an afterthought. And perhaps that's why it's difficult to connect with her, because although now they're pushing her to the front of our view, it's like you've gotten us conditioned to, like, thinking of her as something, just trying to live up to this person or trying to live up to that person. They haven't given her, like, a colossus of clout yet of her own.
I love the term colossus of clout. That's fun. Yes.
We're going to use it forever now.
Although I will say for Tegan last night, her hair was the best I've seen Tegan's hair, period. Once it was down, it was flowy. I know it's a Captain Marvel suit, but I think she very much just looked like she was like a stealthy wrestling Kim Possible, and I dug it. So the end of the match saw Io Shirai get the kind of sudden win over Tegan. It was right after Tegan's like big barrage of fire. Io just randomly got her with the palm strike and the moonsault, and that was it. But as Io celebrated, Dakota Kai came out and kicked her head off, which I guess sets Dakota up as the next contender and sort of transitions Io more towards a face.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused because Dakota was beefing with who Io just beat, Tegan. So I don't know. It's blurry lines, but honestly, I was afraid they've been pushing Tegan. I was afraid they were about to just like strip it off of Io, and I would be like, that is so bogus.
Dumb.
So I'm glad that she retained. Because honestly, don't you feel like they've been pushing Tegan into our face? So I was like, if they take it away from Io on a middle of the week NXT, like, I'll be so mad. I would quit.
You
would quit, guys. I don't have to quit, guys.
Let's go ahead and jump on into what happened on AEW this week. The first thing we got out of the women's division on AEW this week was a little promo from Hikaru Shida, where basically she, no lie, kind of said there's no one in the women's division except for Nyla, so I'm welcoming all challengers, is kind of how that promo went down.
Which doesn't really make sense, but okay.
I mean, that's pretty much it, because if you look at the rankings and everything that happened, every female that's on the top rankings for AEW, aside from Nyla Rose, is injured.
That's what happens when you do crazy flips every single match and don't kind of save your body in a very physical profession.
This is also what kind of happens when you can tell they didn't have a nice division set up to where they can just kind of toss someone else in. The thing that got me is you're asking for all these contenders, but you've got Big Swole over here who's great, and you've suspended her storyline-wise because of an angle with an injured wrestler.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth. Like, wait, that's why I was saying, like, that doesn't really make sense, because we got Big Swole, and for some reason she's suspended. We're like, I get it. It's a really funny storyline, but like, you're kind of just wasting everyone right now. Once again, rookie move of AEW, who has all of these years of experience in all the booking and blah, 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 just somehow seems to like forget.
They forget the fact that they have an amazing women's division quite often.
I also don't want you guys to think like I'm giving NXT the excuse about coronavirus. We get it. AEW has to contend with coronavirus as well, but like they have brought Swole there just for promos. Like, bring her there to wrestle.
That's my point. It's like she's such a big personality. Give her some chances. But we did get to see our first like dose of women's action come from the now coined and freshly debuted on Dynamite Nightmare Sisters of Brandi Rhodes and Allie, which I'm still in love with them. But this week they went up against MJ Jenkins. Oh my God.
We have an exclusive interview with her on our freaking thing.
This tag team match was probably, albeit the most storyline we've gotten out of AEW's women's division recently. But the thing that got me was they didn't give us any sort of predating to it. They were just like, they've had all this drama on Dark. I'm like, but what about the fans who haven't watched Dark? Give us like just a tiny video package or something.
First of all, I am still liking Brandi and Allie together.
Oh, yes.
I am not liking the name that they were given. I feel like it's kind of cringeworthy, let me just say.
But I mean, everything directly related to Cody Rhodes is nightmare something.
Right, but like they're not even using Cody and Dustin together. Like they're not doing this like storyline of like the entire family supports the entire family. They're not doing that. They're keeping it exclusively with Brandi. I feel like they could have come up with something better. But anyway, I'm liking them together. Let's start there. Second, I think Dark's views are going down. And keep in mind that they were going to give us a second night of wrestling action that was going to take on Dark. And then coronavirus happened. So I think viewership is going down on Dark. So they're trying to like push people like, if you want to hear more about this story, go to Dark.
This tag team match saw Brandi and Allie get the win. So I'm not sure where that's going to propel them to, because there's not a tag division in AEW, so not sure what's going on, but I do like the two of them together.
I thought it was kind of odd, unless I'm incorrect. Wasn't Kenzie Paige in a tag team match last week?
She was in the handicap with Kylan King.
Oh, it wasn't a tag match then. Never mind. I was gonna say I thought it was weird that they didn't put her with the same person. Like put her with the same person 2 weeks in a row as a tag match. But you're right. It was handicap. It wasn't tag. You're right.
But hopefully her new partner comes back, because it was really nice seeing MJ Jenkins on AEW.
Yes, girl.
And speaking of Brandi Rhodes, right after the match, they made sure to cut a promo to announce the brand new action figure line that's coming to AEW, and they had a special feature for every single figure except for Brandi.
Really?
Everyone had like their own little like segment to pipe their action figure, and Brandi's was just sitting next to Cody Rhodes like it's an accessory. And I was like, oh, no, don't do that. That's old school 90s WWF marketing. Don't do that.
I just find it really weird that a company that actually doesn't market theirself to like a PG audience is trying to sell PG stuff. It's just weird to me. Like, we basically just saw Jake the Snake proverbially rape someone in the middle of the ring, and now they're like, we've got action figures.
I'm going to buy Brandi.
It's so strange.
But let's move on from the action figure. Because we have to talk about Nyla Rose came out in the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen, which isn't who the manager was. I've never seen a wrestler come out and introduce their manager and hype their manager before. That's a new thing for me. It's totally supposed to be the other way around.
I wish you could hear the deep breath I just took in. Like,
Nyla Rose announced her brand new manager, is Vickie Guerrero. And Vickie came out and essentially cut a promo saying that she's now going to help Nyla lie and cheat and steal. I just don't need these two together. I love Vickie Guerrero. I love her to death. I just don't know right now if I need these two. And I want to do a quick shout out to Cody, Paloma's fiance, because in the chat last night, they were talking about how Taz should have been Nyla Rose's manager and Vickie should have been Brian Cage's manager. And I was like, that's money. That's money.
So what we've seen when other people have come over from the other company and come to AEW, for the most part, it's something new and brand new and refreshing. She basically just took everything she did at the old company and brought it here, which is very odd. And why would a manager openly say we're going to lie and steal, cheat and steal? You're just going to make the refs pay more attention to you, so you're not going to be able to lie. And I get it, that was his tagline, but like, that promo was weak sauce, is what I'm getting to. Like, weak sauce. And as we said last week, Nyla doesn't need a manager.
She just doesn't. You know who, honestly, I would have loved to see Vickie with, and it would have been great? I could so see Vickie being with Mel. It would make sense.
Yes.
She's a towering beast of a woman, and she doesn't really talk.
A mouthpiece.
That's where I would have put her if it wasn't with Brian Cage. But the thing that's got me a little bit perturbed is next week, they're not doing any of this story. Nyla's not on the show. No more Nightmare Sisters. The match that's announced is Ivelisse going one-on-one with Diamante. Dynamite debuts pretty much next week in a match that they don't continue any storyline with. I don't understand.
That will most likely be interrupted by Vickie and Nyla coming out and beating them up.
No. Speaking of being beat up, we did get to see Britt Baker in the corner with her broken nose. Speaking of Diamante coming next week to AEW Dynamite, let's go ahead and talk about AEW Dark real quick, because she was also featured in another tag team match against the Nightmare Sisters, but she was teaming up with a lady I know you're thrilled to see back. Miss Rache Chanel is here. And I finally understand her, and it makes me very happy. Rache is just a fancy way to say Ratchet. She's Ratchet Chanel.
Oh, like knockoff brand. I get it. I like it. Okay.
I like it a lot. Now that I see it, I'm like,
yes. Okay. I like it.
This tag team match, though, it went far, far too long. It was a long, long match. I think Brandi and Allie are very charismatic and talented. Diamante is a great wrestler. Rache's funny, but they didn't really pull off a 10 to 12 minute match.
So I'm feeling most matches on Dark, most ladies matches on Dark go way too long. And number two, everyone in the match except maybe Diamante, but also still sometimes, their matches tend to go too long. Like, those wrestlers are not 12-minute match people right now. Right now, you just need like 5 to 6 minutes to build the story. Let them get some confidence in the ring together, and then give us a long match.
Which they are getting there. Brandi and Allie are so close to just being perfection that it's crazy.
But they still just need a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm. Just let them bake a little bit more. And let me tell you, I'm excited to see them on a winning streak. I really am. I think this is going to be a fun storyline. I just don't see exactly where it's going anymore.
I hope it's not going where I think it's going.
Where do you think it's going?
So the way Allie let Brandi win is they're going to keep trying to one-up each other, and then Brandi is going to go haywire, turn on Allie, and then they're going to try to bring the Nightmare Collective back to try to beat down Allie, which would be awful. I don't want to see the Nightmare Collective back, but it would be cool to see Allie come back as Bunny and kind of just beat all their asses.
You know what? I'd watch it. Crack me a beer. Let's watch it. But also a shout out on Dark. It wasn't a specific match, but in the tag team match with the Librarians, we got to see Leva Bates hit a nice Hurricane Rana on the outside, a la old school Lita, and I was a big fan of that.
Before we wrap everything up, because we're right about there, I didn't get to, I hope you did, and so people don't just like rip us apart in the comments. Sunny had an amazing match last night. I've seen tiny clips of it. I haven't been able to watch it. Did you see it? And give us like 90 seconds of it.
It was really good. It was fantastic. There were parts that just seemed a little bit weird, but it was mostly because of Cody Rhodes' weird storyline mentally. So that didn't like translate. But that match, literally, he beat the holy hell out of Sunny. There was an Alabama Slammer on the ramp. There was a vertebraker. Sunny did all of his kicks. It was glorious. I love Sunny Kiss, and I love this little dance move. I don't know what you call it, but he was doing this on the ramp. That was fun.
So yeah, we do talk about Sunny on our channel.
I think it's time to say, hey Moxie.
Hey Joey.
What was your boom blast moment of the week? This week I didn't feel like there was too much to really choose from in my brain, so I am going to honestly give it to Indi Hartwell. Girl, you came out, you had a nice win. It was good to see you on television.
My boom blast is intuition we had about Vickie Guerrero coming out with Nyla, and also my hair, but also I wonder if Vickie and Nyla talk politics.
No. Hey Moxie.
Hey Joey.
Where can people find you? You can find me all across social media. It's Joey_Mayberry, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Also keep an eye out for my YouTube channel, my brand new show, The Great 8, just premiered yesterday.
Great what?
The Great 8, and I count down the top 8 moments of Lita's career.
You can find me across all social media platforms at that's THEE, Moxie Molly. Please don't forget, we have a Patreon. Buy lots of cool stuff. Please don't forget, we have a Teespring. You can buy some t-shirts and now some custom face masks.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. And also, if you like what you see here, if you want to look up that MJ Jenkins exclusive interview, go down below and literally ring the bell for all our latest content, news, rumors, interviews, reviews, blah, blah, blah.
Buy a t-shirt and love us. Thank you so much. We will see you next week for more AEW and NXT action. Goodbye.